lift up them tube. Does it belong to you or does it belong to them? They say the platform was made for women and for men. But then they heard your thoughts, and they were bought by the controllers that be. And they said, we cannot let the people see the truth behind the world. We must pit the boys against the girls. And here we are today, you and I. Nonetheless, we will give it a try to free our fellow man and do the best we can. Hey guys, what do you say we go live? We do a little homeschool in context. All right, let's fire this bad boy up. All right, TikTok. 3, 2, 1. Good afternoon, TikTok. We are live, and it is another beautiful day here in the sunny South. My trees look happy, but they definitely need me to water them, so I need to do that right after I do this. But I wanted to take a little bit of time out of my day and talk to people about education in context. And I do believe it is so important that children learn in context. And when you think about what's happening in the public school system, and I'll talk a little bit about that, and then I really want to get into solutions, because it's one thing to tear down the system, it's another thing entirely to build something up. But when you think about the way that children are being taught in public schools, in which they are really being asked to sit in classrooms 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 181 days a year for 15 consecutive years, and everything is taught out of context. So they might be asked to calculate surface area, and they might be given a word problem, but it doesn't really mean anything to them. In fact, what you see happen in these public schools is really indifference. You see a situation where children are given assignments. They never decide what they want to learn for themselves, which is a real travesty. They're told, hey, this is what we're learning today. This is what we're going to study. And they're given an assignment. They work on that assignment for 45 minutes. And usually at the end of those 45 minutes, hey, Melissa, they'll take that assignment, they'll take that piece of paper, crumple it up, and they will throw it in the garbage because they become indifferent. It doesn't really mean anything to them. And then on top of that, on top of the indifference, on top of everything being taught completely out of context where it has no real meaning to the children, they're being indoctrinated on top of it, where really the primary lesson they're being taught is that truth comes from authority, that if your teacher tells you something and you're able to regurgitate that back, if you're able to say, yes, teacher, this is what you told me, I could say it back to you verbally or on a written test, then that child is told they're smart. And if they deviate from the norm and they go against that authority, they're giving a poor grade. Their self-esteem is based on how much they agree with authority. Absolutely loving your channel. Completely changed my mindset about public school. Yeah, well, the thing is, once people see it, it's really hard to unsee, because the school system is fundamentally flawed from the base level down. But with that being said, it's one thing to tear the system down. It's another thing to empower people to then take control of their children's education. And ultimately what we do here, ultimately what I attempt to do every waking moment of my life, is to, one, educate parents on my philosophy of how we can better educate children, which really gets into 3 primary points. You want to focus on critical thinking and the process of learning over memorization. You want to focus on skills over subject matter. Not that subjects don't matter. We still learn science and history and all that good stuff. But we want to really focus on also teaching our children tangible skills, the trades as they're called, carpentry, engineering, computer coding, art, music, depends on what the child's personality is and their interest is. But you get critical thinking, skill development, and entrepreneurial experience from the time they are little. We say once every school semester, a child should do something entrepreneurial. So when they're 4 years old, that could be a lemonade stand. It doesn't really matter. When they're 5 years old, that could be a bake sale. And obviously, as they get older and they start to develop intellectually and with their maturity, you can start to add wrinkles and complexities to what they're doing. And in the ideal situation, what you do is you follow the interest of that child, whatever that interest is. You use the interest of that child to develop skills. And then you use the skills to get your child entrepreneurial experience. And if you do this consistently, if you understand this philosophy consistently, then it doesn't really matter. Of course, you'll have tough days, right? Like, I'm Mr. Homeschool, right? I'm a teacher. I have a bachelor's degree in history education, a master's degree in special education. I run a homeschool company, and I have bad days where you feel like you can't get anything going. It doesn't matter. Don't let that get you down, because if you stick to the philosophy, critical thinking in the process of learning over memorization, right? And I'll go through it. Critical thinking, skill development, and entrepreneurial experience. And when I say critical thinking, it really gets into, right, it's one thing to say it. Again, how do I empower you, though, as the parent, to do it? And I'm not even talking about you joining my community, which obviously I would love. I'm just talking about, from watching this video, how can I empower you? Let's talk about the way that history is taught in public schools. And I did a great video on this on my classicallearner.com channel today, my other channel, using Thomas Jefferson as an example. And with Jefferson, what you'll get is a narrative, right? You'll get a narrative. Thomas Jefferson was this, Thomas Jefferson was that, depending on who you ask. But what I would say is what you really want to do is you want to have your children read his primary writings. And so they could read the Declaration of Independence. They can read, I forget the name of the document, but he was basically the driving force behind religious freedom within the state of Virginia in pre-revolutionary America. And that was the impetus for the Declaration of Independence. During the French Revolution, Thomas Jefferson was actually in France, and he assisted in the writing of the Declaration of the Rights of Man. And then they could look into the other things that Jefferson did, which weren't so good, right? And they could start to make up their own mind about who this man was. When they study early colonial American history, they could read the writings of Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson and James Madison and George Washington. And then they should also read the writings of the Iroquois tribes, and they should read the writings of these indigenous peoples, and they should get the perspectives of all people involved in the situation. And then your children, based on all of that reading, they can formulate their own unique understanding of history. They could use their critical thinking. They can use their discernment. They don't need some political-driven organization, the Department of Indoctrination, saying, hey, we handpicked this narrative. These guys are good. These guys are bad. Memorize that, repeat that, and now you know, right? That is not how you teach critical thinking. That is not how we prepare our children to use their discernment and to solve problems in the real world. Let's talk about how you teach them science, right? And right now, one of the things I've been doing with Homeschool Connected is we just rolled out a science curriculum. And it gets into the philosophy that when you teach your child science, listen, you can have them read textbooks, and that's great. This scientific theory or this scientific law or fact, great. Do all that. But ultimately, if you want them to understand science, if you want them to learn science, if you want them to develop critical thinking faculties through the study of science, which in my opinion, that's ultimately what you want, then you have to focus on the scientific method. So how do you do that? Let me give an example. We did an experiment through Homeschools Connected with our students, the apple oxidation experiment. And basically what the children were learning is about how the oxidation process works. What's oxidation? You all know what it is. You take a banana, you open it up, you take an apple, you cut it, you put it on the counter for 3 hours, you come back, it's brown, right? You're like, oh, I don't want to eat that, it's dirty and brown. That's oxidation. So you have your children read a little bit about oxidation, and then what you do is you take an apple, you have them cut the apple into 9 separate slices, and you have them dip 8 of the slices into orange juice, lemon juice. It doesn't really matter what you use. Vinegar, salt water, sugar water. You have them dip 8 of the slices. You take 1 slice to the side. You don't dip it in anything. Why do you do that? All right, little Matthew. So the slice we put to the side is what we call a scientific control. So you're teaching them, okay, this is a scientific control. You're teaching them about the method. And then you say, what is your independent variable? And you want to get them to point out the apple juice, the orange juice, all of this is the variable, the independent variable. You have them do their experiment, check it in 3 minutes, 6 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, 5 hours. Write down their observations. What do you see? I see that the apple that didn't have any lemon juice or anything on it is brown. Great. I see that the apple that had lemon juice on it is actually, it's still white, apple white, right? Okay, so those are your observations, right? That's great. And then you have them analyze the results. So based on your observations and your reading, what do you think happened here? I think that the control, the apple that was exposed to oxygen without lemon juice being put on it, went through an oxidation process, and electrons were pulled out of that apple, causing it to brown. Great. That's a reasonable examination of the results. But then you want them to say, well, what do you have to do to prove that? Because did you actually see any electrons? What do you mean? Like with your eyes, what does an electron look like? Right. So you want them to say, oh, no, I didn't. And then you want them to write in the questions, can I set up an experiment which actually tests for the presence or removal of these electrons, right? And you're really getting them to think critically, use their discernment, and to separate what they know from what they don't know. I'm working on a unit study right now where we're doing the same thing in which our students are going to study the medical industrial complex, right? And it gets into the same concept of learning how to figure things out for yourself. So one of the things we're going to do through that is the students, and you can do this, by the way, is you say, okay, it's one thing to say, I think this is corrupt or that is corrupt. It's another thing to say, how do you track the funding, right? And what we do is we prompt the students to go to opensecrets.org and actually do the research into what organizations, what industries spend the most money lobbying Congress. There is a methodology within teaching that you can teach your children to focus on the process of learning rather than memorizing some abstract or subjective worldview. And all of us can do this with our children, and it really gets into how we teach them. And then I went a little off topic here, but ultimately I labeled this stream Homeschool in Context. Why did I say that? Well, let's say you want to teach your child about photosynthesis. Do you just teach them about photosynthesis? I would say no. I would say that if you want your children to learn about photosynthesis, the best way to achieve that is to first have them plant a seed. And then as they're taking care of that plant, as it sprouts and grows, from that point, you start to study photosynthesis. And then you say, this is why we need our plant to get sunlight. Then what other aspects of this plant's growth are important? And you want them to get to the soil. Oh, so why don't we look at how to make soil healthy? And then you start having them study soil biology. We're doing this all, by the way. We have a year-long nature unit study. Our students are constructing garden boxes. They are making little greenhouses, studying the greenhouse effect and how that works. They are making fertilizer out of banana peels and eggshells. They are doing all of these physical things in the real world. And then what you do as a parent is you embed entrepreneurial experience into what they're doing. So one of the options we gave our students, and you can do with your children right now, is you can have them grow flowers, and once the flowers grow, host a yard sale in which they sell the flowers. Boom! Your child just figured out how to make money out of an idea in their head and a little bit of hard work. You just gave them the keys to the entrepreneurial experience, and you're giving them the tools through skill development, through the skill of growing plants, through the skill of constructing a garden box, through the skill of making a wooden ladybug feeder, through the skill of making candles out of beeswax, all things we've done with our unit study. You are giving them the key to unlock the full potential of their creative mind. What if no one buys them? Unicorn Mama, that's a great question. We gotta hedge our bets, people. So what I do, for example, if I'm going to host a lemonade sale with my son, what I'm going to do is on the side, I'm going to call my friend, my other friend, my neighbor, and I'm just going to say, hey, you know, Brady's having this lemonade sale. Can you make sure that you show up? Because I want to make sure he gets some sales, right? And by the way, failure's not the worst thing. It's okay to let your child fail. So even if they, quote unquote, fail, all you have to do is direct them on how to on what they can do differently, right? So failure's not a bad thing in itself, but especially when they start out, I really like to kind of hedge the bet and make sure they're successful. And then what you could also do, like for example, if you're doing the flower sale, what I would do is work on marketing. I would introduce them to the concept of marketing. I would say, all right, let's make a sign that we put on the front corner, the corner of the, whatever, flower sale. And you could have them study how to do drawings, draw their own flowers on the sign, write out the letters. You could have them take a little course in preparation on graphic design and actually have them design their letters on the computer and print out their letters and then glue the letters onto a poster board. And you're teaching them how to do marketing. You could also teach them videography. So you could film a short video marketing video with them. You could show them how to do the editing in iMovie or Adobe Premiere Rush. And then you send that video to grandma, to grandpa, to auntie, to uncle, to whoever it might be, right? So you're teaching them about having an idea, working hard, planning, organizing, using their labor to produce a product, taking that product, bringing it to a market, how to do marketing, how to do videography, how to do graphic design, how to do art. You think this is valuable? This is what unschooling is. This is what project-based learning is. This is what learning in context is. This is what we're doing with our year-long nature unit study. This is what amazing mamas like Unicorn Mama are doing all over the country. Marine Princess is another amazing mom. Melissa, just being Melissa, is another amazing mom. Where these parents are doing this stuff in spades, and all of you can do it. It's not that complicated. Start simple. Start with lemonade stands. Start with bake sales. And just keep in mind that ultimately what we want to do when we educate our children is to follow the interest of our children, use the interest of our children to teach them critical thinking in the process of learning, to develop skills. I cannot stress this enough. Subject matter is important, but if you want your children to be free, if you want your children to grow up and absolutely crush, they need skills, because skills breed confidence. Skills like public speaking, which is a course I love for children, the Winning Feathers public speaking course. Skills breed confidence, and skills breed opportunities. So we develop skills in our children, we get them entrepreneurial experience, and if we do these things, there is no limit to what our children are capable of doing and what our children will do by the time they are 15, 16, 17, 18, 25 years old. I'm now going to go back and read your comments, answer your questions. For anyone interested in what I do, www.classicallearner.com, our private homeschool community, which is amazing. Homeschools Connected, $10 a month, discount code FREEDOM. Let me go back, answer your questions. And like I said, when I do these streams, I don't put my stuff behind a paywall. I try to spread my philosophy. I try to tell parents how you can do all of this stuff. So come back, be here every day, because we're doing amazing things. We have fun. There's no topic really that's off limits except certain topics that I know TikTok does not want me to talk about. I respect your platform. You don't want me to talk about those topics. That's fine. They're out. Don't worry about it. But we have fun. We talk about life. We talk about things we have disagreements on. We have amazing families with lots of different perspectives. Melissa has a different worldview than Marine Princess. Marine Princess has a different worldview than Unicorn Mama. But what we all do is we respect each other. We try to build together. And ultimately, we try to raise our kids to be good children. And I think we're doing that in spades. So we're doing some really good things. Love your channel. Completely changed my mindset. That's awesome. Children deserve better than public school. Absolutely. Even if the parents learn and catch up with modern goals, the schools, not sure what you were writing there. Really? That's a first. That's the first time I heard that. I actually think I have beautiful brows, but hey, man, to each their own. I mean, if I were going to make fun of me, I'd probably make fun of my mustache, my, like, scattery facial hair, stuff like that. I don't know. I enjoy your page. I'm pro homeschool, but I'm not. Don't even start with that. You are smart. That's nonsense. You will do great with your son. And there are amazing homeschool materials where really you just kind of have to follow them as a guide, follow the interest of your child as well, and you'll do great. And you don't have to be educated to homeschool your children. I know homeschool parents that single moms that have dropped out of high school themselves that are doing a great job homeschooling. So you are plenty capable. You have plenty of support. You can lean on mamas like Marine Princess who have tremendous experience and would be happy to help you with anything you need. So you'll do just great. And ultimately what you want to do is get your child into the habit of being a reader. Get your child into the habit of being a learner. And you don't have to know everything. You just want to teach your child how to learn things, and they'll do great. So don't ever put yourself down like that, because we do have the ability to manifest this stuff within ourselves. And if you're telling yourself you're not smart, you are convincing your subconscious that you're not smart. So every day, wake up and tell yourself how capable you are. Tell yourself how smart you are. And the smartest people I know are the people who just try to learn. So if you learn how to do one thing today, then you're smarter than you were when you woke up. And if you do that every day, teach yourself one thing every day, and it's amazing what you will know. I'm an avid reader. I read every day, and people hear me talk about topics, and they're like, how do you know that stuff? How do you know that stuff? Because I make it a goal that when I wake up, I'm going to know a little bit more by the time I went to bed. And if you did that, you had an amazing day. And if you figured out that by doing that, you can build like little bricks, just like building a house, same concept with educating your child, then you are one of the smartest people in our society, because most people coast through life trying to learn nothing. So start learning every day, and you'll be amazed. By 1 year from now, you'll look back and say, wow, you know what? I am pretty smart. And it's the same thing with our children. This is why I always tell parents, like, parents who do my homeschool stuff might realize I don't really care about grades. I don't care for it. The only thing you should grade your child on is on the effort they put in that day. And if your child had an A effort that day, then your child is an A student that day. right? And that's all that matters. What is the point of having an 8th grader take a test, get a grade on that test, and saying, little Johnny got a 55. Little Johnny is so stupid. Well, if little Johnny got a 55, how long is it going to take him to catch up and get a quote-unquote, a 90 on your next test? It's going to take a while. You're basically telling him that you're stuck on stupid. That's a terrible methodology. It's a terrible way to do things. If little Johnny wakes up in the morning, applies himself, studies hard, works to achieve a goal, then little Johnny's not a 55 student. Little Johnny's an A+ student. And by the way, when you do it that way, little Johnny's self-esteem goes up, and he actually, through manifestation of that, starts to become that actual A student, even based on their ridiculous metrics, right? And by the way, little Johnny, you give me little Johnny and his 55 that the public school system fails on, put him in my custody and watch what happens in 5 years. I guarantee you he's more successful than all of their A students. So the public school system's nonsense. Don't ever get into that mode of thinking, and you'll do great. Yeah, learn, exactly. Marine Princess, next comment. I didn't even see that she wrote that. Learn with your child. The public school system makes people feel dumb. Don't ever let them make you feel that way, and don't ever tell yourself you're that. The only dumb people in this chat are my trolls. I have fun. The guy who made my eyebrow comment, that's a dumb guy. Everyone else smart. We use the science of reading. It works for us better than sight word memory. I'm not familiar with that. The science of reading. I'm going to screenshot that. Is that like a program, or is that a philosophy? For me, it's been cheaper than when my kids were in public school. Yeah, homeschooling doesn't have to be expensive. ABC Jesus Loves Me is free. The Easy Peasy All-in-One Homeschool is free. The Khan Academy is free. My Homeschools Connected, which is my program, is $10 a month. It doesn't have to be expensive to homeschool your children. Hardwood Bear. I dropped out of school in 11th grade, and I'm more qualified to teach my child than any teacher I had. And I personally know Hardwood Bear, and as I like to joke, but I kind of mean it, is he's one of those people who knows about a lot of different stuff. He's a very intelligent man. He is very skilled. He is a man of trades, and there's so much truth in the example that he sets of what he's saying, and we can all be self-educated. And the real educated people, you don't get that from school. Like Leonardo da Vinci wasn't the man he was because of school. He was the man he was because he became self-educated, and we can all do that, and we can do that with our children. I really love the idea. I was just able to work through that in my head, and definitely can imagine that will encourage growth for more than the standard grading system. Exactly. I want to homeschool my 5-year-old. Just start doing it. Like, even if your child's still in school, just start homeschooling on the side, and you'll realize what you can do. Love this material. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'll figure it out, and you will figure it out. Ask parent. Right, I'm actually a big advocate of asking family members to involve themselves in the homeschool process, because not only does it give you help, but it allows them to start to see the value in what you're doing, and it really gets everyone on board. And once they start, and they start to fall in love with it, they'll start to have ideas of, oh, I can do this with Johnny. I can do that with Johnny. Do your lesson plans have any ideas for selling stuff is there a lesson plan for that? So in our nature unit study, we have entrepreneurial opportunities embedded within it. So for example, when your child makes candles out of beeswax, we have a lesson on how to sell those candles on Etsy. When we go to the part of the lesson unit study on flowers, the children are actually guided on how to grow and sell their flowers, and we give 4 options: front yard sales, door-to-door sales, selling to a farmer's market, or selling to a florist. So yes, we embed entrepreneurial stuff into what we're doing, and I'm going to be doing more of that, by the way. But Unicorn Mama, if you have any ideas or any questions, just inbox me on Homeschools Connected. I get like a crazy, people wouldn't believe how many messages I get a day, but I'll get back to you that week and we'll go over, what you can do. Right. John Wifey, yes, absolutely. You want to familiarize yourself with classical education, Charlotte Mason, unschooling, and Montessori when you homeschool. We are baking bread today. It sells very well at our farmer's market, absolutely. So I want to show my son that. And getting a table at a farmer's market is like $50. So everyone can do that with their children. Does it cost money to get involved in your homeschool program? Yes, it is $10 a month. I was hearing about this. I have a bachelor's in history, and I want to teach him. Yeah, do it. You can do it. I wish I had the brain capacity to do better. You do have the brain capacity to do better. And don't use that type of language about yourself. When people use that type of language about themselves, like, imagine your child. If your child was looking down, there's a child in you, right? Like, there is a child, the inner child in yourself. And if your child was looking down, pouting, and saying, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, what would you say to them? You would say, you can do this, you are good enough, right? Well, until you slay that inner child in yourself, whatever happened in your life that got you to the point where you would ever say that to yourself, right? Until you slay that, you'll never overcome that. Don't ever tell yourself that. Tell yourself the truth, which you are capable. Anyone who knows me, like, people look at me and, like, I'm not saying this to brag and stuff, but I've lived an interesting life. Like, I have a bachelor's degree in history education. I have a master's degree in special education. I had a 4.0 GPA. I graduated at the top of my class. And by the way, but when I was in high school and stuff, I was told that I was a bad student. I was a bad apple, a bad egg. I got B grades. I didn't apply myself. I was told growing up that I wasn't a creative writer. Yeah, now I'm an Amazon #1 bestseller. I published 7 books, all fiction. I'm a pretty creative writer. I started a homeschool company. I make original homeschool curriculum. I make science curriculum. I make STEM curriculum. I make carpentry curriculum. All the things we're doing. I'm releasing a really cool carpentry project tomorrow that I'm excited about, that I made for my son specifically because I know he'd want to do it. But I made it for the community as well. So, actually really excited about it. Sorry, my back. I sold my house, moved my family across the country. I started a homestead. I grow my own food. And the reason I'm able to do that, and the reason I could do these things, is not because I know anything about growing, or I knew anything about growing food, not because I knew anything about homeschooling, not because I knew anything about publishing books or how to do that, not because I knew the slightest thing about starting a company or a homeschool company, but because every time when I had an idea, I looked myself in the eyes in the mirror and I said, I'll figure this out. I know I can do this. And there is nothing more powerful than telling yourself that you can do that. And you have to model that for your children, because they need to see role models who they see telling themselves, I can do this, I can overcome this problem. There's a challenge, we'll solve it. I say to my son all the time, I kind of joke with the vanilla ice thing, but I go, if there's a problem, we'll solve it, right? But I want to embed that in my children's minds, that there's nothing you can't do, right? I do a lot of stuff like that, like, there's no mountain I can't climb, right? No valley too low, no plane I can't learn how to fly, right? But it's true, like, you have to get in that mindset. Be the model. When you say that to yourself, you have to picture your child saying it to them. And if your child sees you thinking that way, then your child will wind up thinking that way. Never allow that. When there's a will, there's a way. Unicorn Mama, if you're looking for the nature unit study, if you go to lesson plans on the left side menu, click lesson plans, the drop down menu will come and you'll see nature unit study. Just click on that, follow the link. We're not starting a movement. We already have a movement. Like, if you're here, then you can be a part of that. We are revolutionizing the way that people educate their children through the way that we educate our children. When I talked about my confidence and my mindset, I truly believe I am revolutionizing the way that people educate their children. We are changing the world, and just by being here, you're a part of that. And it starts with what we do every day when we look in the mirror. It starts with extreme personal responsibility and waking up every day and telling yourself you're going to have that good day, and then going out there and doing it. And every one of us are capable of it. I'm just going to change the way I'm sitting here. It's going to be a little awkward of an angle for the YouTube, but my back is just a little funky, scrunching down. My daughter made $75 on her lemonade stand, but we did gross versus net budget. Unicorn Mama, how old is your daughter again? Sorry, I know you told me. I work with so many families. I feel like you said your daughter was 8, but that might be wrong. But there is The Investment Ninja, which is a nice book. Your child just made some money. Have her read The Investment Ninja. There's Finance 101 for kids. You could start to introduce the concept of financial literacy and investment. Every one of you are good enough to homeschool. I hate that I'm seeing that. And by the way, you're not seeing that from any of the members of my homeschool community. Look how confident Melissa is. Look how confident Marine Princess is. Unicorn Mama, we're working on you, but you can do anything, and you're very intelligent. And I'm not only impressed with what I see from you, but I'm impressed with the intellectual confidence you have to follow me, because I'm very opinionated. I have strong opinions. They differ from you on a lot of ways. And the fact that you're able to not be triggered by that, but you're able to have the conversation and learn and add value to the conversation where I'm learning from you, it shows what intellectual capacity you have and what intellectual confidence you have. And your children, you all right, Brady? What happened, Papa? Are you okay? Brady's not a whiner, so if he's crying, something happened. Come here, Papa Bean, you okay? You okay? What happened? Oh, did you lose it? Okay. Let me just take him to Mama real quick. I'll be right back. You okay? And speaking of those, we all have good homeschool days and bad homeschool days. I just spoke with Nicole, and she said, I've had a day. I'm done. So I am going to wrap this stream up soon and take over daddy time. And that's it. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have good days. But you want to work together as a family. You want to stay consistent, and you will do absolutely wonderful. Lost my spot. I just want to get through all your comments. I told my husband I've never stood up for anything. That is it. They won't go back. Good for you. Good for you taking that stand. Yeah, Marine Princess will help. She's a wealth of knowledge. If anyone has questions, ask her. What are the negative aspects of homeschooling? I don't really view homeschool as negative aspects. I mean, if you do it right if you do it wrong, like I'm sure there are some people that really don't socialize their children, but like everyone in my homeschool community, the circles that I run in, our children are actually probably more, it's not even close with my children, are more socialized than their public school peers. I mean, constant play dates, constant at the park, constantly on sporting teams, baseball, gymnastics, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, just, if you do it right, there really isn't negative aspects of homeschooling. There aren't, I should say. My inner child wants jelly and ice cream. So does mine. It's funny. It's affordable. I use it to supplement my main curriculums, but homeschooling has been affordable. Yeah, like I said, homeschooling doesn't have to be expensive. I'm worried about homeschooling my 9-year-old non-reader with dyslexia. So if you go to Memoria Press and Time for Learning, they have curriculum specifically designed for dyslexia. There's also the Center, I might get this wrong, the Center for Speech and Dyslexia, which you could get one-on-one tutoring. Oh, Melissa knows it. Of course she does. The Multisensory Center for Dyslexia and Learning, where you can get one-on-one tutoring. So there's plenty of stuff for that. And in fact, I find homeschooling is more advantageous for children with dyslexia because you could allow them to read at their pace rather than feeling like they're falling behind and then developing an aversive relationship with reading. Like they get embarrassed in front of their classmates and whatnot. What I would do is just pick some reading that they're really interested in and do that for about an hour a day. And then you could supplement their other subject matter with audiobooks. There's a really cool app, Speechify, which is an attachment for Safari. And you could actually have anything on the internet read to them, or they can read along as it's read to them. So there's a lot of different things you can do that would be very advantageous to homeschooling a dyslexic child. Yeah, my son has dyslexia and homeschooling has helped him. I want to homestead. It's important to me and my family. Yeah, you can homestead on an acre of land. You don't need that much land to homestead. Like right now, I have more land, but I only have an acre of land cleared. You could do plenty on an acre. It's harder with me living in an RV. It might actually turn out to be easier because you can get the land without having to put the house up right away. So, for example, Just Being Melissa, she has a blog. It's called the Rving Across America blog. And she RVs all across the country and she homeschools 5 children. Absolutely amazing woman. And she's about to start homesteading herself. We have another member of our community that's RVing. Actually, 2 more members I know of off the top of my head that are RVing across America. And their homes, so you can do a lot of cool things with an RV. And we have a ton of homesteaders in our community. Is there a Facebook group or Telegram where all these moms can collaborate? They're all in Homeschools Connected. And I'm sure they'd be happy to message with you, on TikTok or whatever it might be. I found the Nature Unit study. Thank you. I love the first couple of lessons so far. Yeah, and Unicorn Mama, Nicole and I are going to start preparations for fall gardens in the next couple of weeks. I'm not quite sure exactly when. I think I just finished up the 5-week herb study. So the last 5 lessons, including the one I uploaded today, were all about herbology and foraging for herbs and making them into, I have to be careful how I word this, making them into things, herbs. So the last 5 lessons, you could definitely jump right on that. And like I said, we're about to start the fall garden preparation. So it's almost like starting back from square one again, which I'm really excited about. So yeah, there's so many cool things you can do with it. I'm not allowed to do much in my area. We're currently looking for land. That's awesome. I found a Facebook group for local homeschoolers to meet up and hang. Yeah, if you go onto Facebook and you type in your area plus homeschool co-ops, a lot of the times you'll find a bunch of people in your area. Yeah, we use Discord. Homeschools Connected is Discord. So we have a primary chat where pretty much 24/7, the moms in here could attest. Everyone's talking about homeschooling, life, whatever. We have state groups where you could connect with people in the state that you live. So yeah, we're doing that. Love your content. Helps me get out of the box. Yeah, and you just want to be creative as possible as a homeschool parent. Never get discouraged. Like I said, you just saw it. Like, I'm the homeschool guy, and Nicole and I, we have bad days homeschooling. That's part of being a parent educator. Like, you're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days. No different than in public school, you'll have good days and bad days. And by the way, I'm about to go make this a good day because we're going to crush the second half of the day. But herbalism, yes, Harbor Bear. I haven't tried it out yet, Hardwood, the Speechify. I need to try I did it they have a free sample within their video tutorial on it, but I haven't done the Speechify 3 free day trial yet because I want to do the 3 free day trial on a day where I could read for 3 straight hours. So I'm kind of strategically using that. So I'm waiting a little bit. homeschool kids don't have friends and become so weird. None of that's true. So homeschool kids don't have friends if you leave them home all the time. Like, for example, my children have a church class that they attend on Sunday. They have Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu on Wednesday. They have gymnastics class on Friday. They have baseball 2 days a week for the majority of the year when it's baseball season. We go to parks multiple times a week. We have play dates multiple times a week. We are in town virtually 5 days a week. The notion that homeschool children aren't socialized is ridiculous. I mean, if you want to socialize your children, socialize your children. It's not hard to do. In fact, the majority of human history, up until about 120 years ago, literally every person throughout human history, not literally, but the majority were homeschooled. So the notion that you can't do that is, quite frankly, absurd. I'm so scared, though. My child has an IEP, and I have to now get private services for her therapy. Call your insurance company. A lot of the time, they'll actually cover the cost of some of those services. So I would definitely call your insurance company. Also, check the laws in the state that you live. In a lot of states, homeschool students actually fall under the legal designation. I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice, but of private schools. And they are actually entitled to getting services through the school district, even though they don't attend. Is the Discord for the people who are a part of the program, or can I join to ask questions and to find people? Yeah, no, you get everything. Listen, all right, let me just go over it. So when you join our Discord, you get access to our community of hundreds of amazing homeschool parents. Melissa, Marine Princess, Unicorn Mama. There's other moms in here right now that are members of our community with a cumulative thousands of years of homeschool experience. We talk about homeschool, we talk about life, we talk about conspiracies, we talk about whatever people want to talk about. And my only rule that I have in there is that everyone's respectful of one another. And yeah, that's basically it. Just be respectful of one another. Like, I don't want garbage social media. We're not trolling each other. If people start trolling each other, like, I'll mute them. We're not doing that. Just be respectful, have adult conversations, and it's all good. So we have it's really amazing social media. In my opinion, it's really some of the best social media on the internet. We have our state groups where you can connect with people in the state that you live. We have a pen pal program, which I do with one of the dads in this chat. Like, my son is in the pen pal program with Hardwood Bear's son, which is really cool. And they actually met. We met up in Pennsylvania, which is really cool. You get access to all of the curriculum I produce, the science curriculum, the STEM curriculum, the carpentry curriculum, everything we're putting out. You get access to the courses I teach on the Bill of Rights, propaganda, the American Revolution, the media industrial complex, our unit studies into cool topics like the medical industrial complex that I'm coming out with. I just put out a unit study for high school students on the Georgia Guidestone, which is really about how to do sourcing and get back to primary documents. So yeah, you get access to all of that, and like I said, it's $10 a month, so we'd love to have you. You know, I don't mean to be like the salesman in chief, but if everyone's asking, I'll just go over it real quick. My kids play soccer and basketball at the YMCA. Homeschooling and homesteading is life now, absolutely. I froze the crops last spring. Hopefully this works. I'm clueless when growing. I want to, though. Yeah, listen, 4 years ago, I had like a 10 by 10 garden and I killed everything. And now I have pear trees, plum trees, apple trees. So gardening's like, the more you do it, the better you get. You'll figure it out. And figure it out with your children. It's the best way to educate them. After working as a substitute in the district, I will never put my own kids in the public school system. Yeah, you'd be amazed how often I'm inboxed by teachers who are like, "Thank you for what you're doing. I would never put my children in this system." Like that's a weekly occurrence for me. It's pretty remarkable. Yeah, the Homeschool Legal Defense Association is the best place to go for that type of advice. I mean, I certainly wasn't born with a green thumb. Yeah, school discourages socialization. It's like all these children are in social cliques. If you're not in this clique, you get picked on. Like these kids don't hang out with those kids. Like the lunch tables are all. It's like whole terrible social dynamic, which is why you see so much anxiety, depression, societal stuff going on there. So yeah, public schools are bullying. It's disaster. It's like structured like a prison. Our Discord is Homeschools Connected, and you can find it at www.classicallearner.com. If you do sign up, use the discount code FREEDOM. It's all lowercase f, and it's $10 a month. It's a nice group. We talk about adult things and parent things. And people have fun. And, people have a lot of different perspectives and opinions. And it's a great way. And, it's not, I don't say, there's any one right way to educate your child. I'm not going to tell you what your worldview will be. So, if a parent has a question about how do I educate my children on this topic or that topic, or the community will find the resources, or people that have done it will say, hey, when we studied this topic, we use that, or I'll create a little specialty topic for it on the side menu, and you can study that topic with your kids. So anything parents need, we try to provide. Obviously, I have my thoughts and my philosophy, and that dominates the materials I put together, but always happy to help people with whatever they need. Jessica Brown in the house. Don't question authority. Sit all day and be quiet. All right, I caught up. I'm going to call it. All right, so anyone who wants to find me, I'm Classical Learner on everything ever. You can find me Classical Learner. I just created a new gram, homeschools_connected. If anyone wants to follow my brand new gram that I have 50 followers on, which is cool. And Homeschools Connected, blah, 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 classicallearner.com. You guys get it. Freedom isn't free. We have to earn it every day. And I think I'm going to do a community-only stream tomorrow for Friday. So I'll do the community-only stream at one point tomorrow. But I want to go and help Nicole because clearly she had a tough morning with the kids. So I want to be that guy. I want to be that dad. I want to be that husband. I want to step up to the plate. And I will. So I want to go help her out. And anyone has any questions, ask me, ask the members of our community. And it is what it is. ClassicalLearner.com, Homeschools Connected, hit it up. I will now waste 10 seconds because I believe it's on a 10-second delay.